All right, let's dive into something that feels like it's straight out of a sci-fi movie, but it's happening right now, probably faster than any of us realize. We're talking about autonomous vehicles. So let's just get the big question out of the way right up front. Are we fully autonomous yet? Can you walk into a dealership today and buy a car that will drive you home all by itself? Well, the short answer is not quite. The tech is amazing, for sure, but there's a huge difference between driver assist and a truly driverless car. We're going to break down exactly what that difference is. Okay, so here's how we're going to tackle this. First up, what even is an autonomous car? Then, we'll look at the 6 levels of autonomy. This is super important. After that, we'll peek under the hood at the tech, talk about the roadblocks stopping us, and finally, gaze into the crystal ball to see what's next. Okay, let's kick things off with the absolute fundamentals. Gotta make sure we're all speaking the same language before we dive into the really cool stuff. So, what does this actually mean? Look, an autonomous vehicle is way more than just a fancy cruise control. Think of it like this. It's a car that can see and hear the world around it using sensors. Then it has a brain, an AI brain, that thinks about what it's seeing and decides what to do. Just like a human would. It's that whole loop. Sense, think, act. All on its own. And listen, this isn't some far-off future concept. You've probably seen examples of this tech on the road already. I'm talking about things like Tesla's autopilot, or Cadillac's Super Cruise, or the systems you find in high-end Mercedes and BMWs. These are the systems that can handle the steering and the speed on a highway. They're kind of like the early building blocks for full-blown self-driving. Okay, now we're getting into one of the most crucial ideas you need to understand about this topic. See, autonomy isn't just on or off. It's not a light switch. It's more like a ladder. And there are 6 rungs, or levels, that tell you exactly how capable a car is. All right, let's climb this ladder. Level 0, that's your basic car. You, the human, are doing everything. Easy. Level 1 is where the car helps with one specific thing, maybe adaptive cruise control that keeps you a set distance from the car in front. Level 2 is what you find in a lot of new cars today. It can handle both steering and speed. But, and this is a big but, you have to be paying attention, hands on the wheel. Now, level 3, this is a big jump. The car can actually take over in certain situations, like a traffic jam, but it might ask you to take control back. Level 4 is where it gets really serious. The car can drive itself completely, but only within a specific, mapped-out area, like a downtown core. And finally, the holy grail, level 5, full autonomy. The car can go anywhere, anytime, in any condition. No human needed. The steering wheel might not even be there. And this quote right here just nails it. This is what level 5 is all about. It's not about driving on a perfectly sunny day on a highway it knows. No way. It's about getting in, saying, take me to my friend's new house across town, on roads it's never seen, maybe in the rain, and it just does it. No intervention. That's the dream. So the big question is, how on earth does a car pull that off? What's the magic? Well, it's not magic, it's technology. So let's get under the hood and see what makes these things tick. Okay, the absolute core of this whole thing is the AI brain. I mean, the car is constantly getting flooded with information from its sensors, right? And the AI's job is to make sense of it all. It uses something called neural networks, which are basically computer systems designed to work kind of like a human brain. They're trained on millions of miles of driving data, so they learn to spot patterns, they learn to know, hey, that's a person, that's a cyclist, and oh, that's just a leaf blowing across the road. Now, to see the world, many of these cars use a technology called LiDAR. Honestly, you can think of it like the car's superpower. What it does is shoot out millions of tiny, invisible laser beams and then measures how long it takes for them to bounce back. By doing that, it builds this super accurate 3D map of everything around it in real time. And the math behind it is actually surprisingly simple. You just take the speed of light, which is, constant, and multiply it by the time it took for the laser to go out and come back, that time of flight. That gives you the distance. And the car is doing this calculation millions of times a second for every direction. And this is what it looks like to the car. So cool, right? This is called a point cloud. Every single one of those dots is a measurement from the LiDAR. It's like a perfect digital copy of the real world, but in 3D. This is how the car knows the exact shape and distance of every car, tree, and curb around it, with insane precision. Okay, so the tech is obviously incredible. But like we said, we're not at level 5 yet. So what's the holdup? What's stopping us? It's time to talk about the very real, very difficult roadblocks. And we have to be honest here. The stakes are literally life and death. This incident back in 2018 with a self-driving Uber was a tragic wake-up call for the entire industry. The system just failed to identify a pedestrian. It's a heartbreaking reminder of how incredibly hard this problem is and how unpredictable the real world can be for a machine. This right here, this shows one of the biggest arguments happening in the autonomous world right now. You've got two different philosophies. On one side, you have companies like BMW who believe LiDAR is absolutely essential. They see it as a critical safety net. But then you have Tesla, who's making a massive bet that they can do it all with just cameras. Their thinking is, humans drive with two eyes, so a smart enough AI should be able to too. They see LiDAR as an expensive crutch. Honestly, who's right is one of the biggest questions in tech. So when you boil it all down, the challenges are huge. First, this stuff is expensive. The sensors, the computers, it all costs a ton. Second, the software is just unbelievably complex. We're talking millions of lines of code. Then there's the challenge of making the sensors work perfectly, every time, whether it's snowing, foggy, or dark. And underpinning everything is safety and security. You have to make sure these systems are unhackable and foolproof. It's a massive, massive undertaking. But look, even with all those hurdles, the progress has been staggering. So let's switch gears and look ahead. With all this in mind, what's the ETA? When can we actually expect to see this stuff become a reality? So the year that experts are pointing to for the first true Level 5 cars to maybe hit the market is 2027. Think about that. That is not very far away at all. Now, 2027 will probably be for a very small, exclusive group. But the wider prediction? By 2035, the thinking is that most new cars could have full self-driving capabilities. This isn't science fiction anymore. It's a future that is coming up on us really, really fast. And that really brings us to the final question, doesn't it? We've talked about the tech, the levels, the roadblocks. The engineers are working around the clock to solve the how. But the really big question that this technology puts to all of us is, are we ready for it? Are we ready for the world this is going to create? Something to chew on. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer.